Good afternoon to you all. Today we are going to discuss a new topic, that is autoquotes. So, autoquotes and autoquote related drugs. So, first coming to the term autoquotes, we should know what is autoquote. Autoquotes are diverse group of endogenous substances synthesized by a wide variety of cells in the body, having intense and diverse physiological, pathological, and pharmacological action or activity, even in minute concentration, and generally and usually act locally at and near the site of their synthesis and release. Next. So, types of autoquotes, their classification of autoquotes. Autoquotes have been classified into three different groups. That is, first is amine autoquotes, second one lipid derived autoquotes, and third one peptide autoquotes. First, coming to the amine autoquotes, they are natural amino acids or their derivative. They are derived from naturally occurring amino acids. So, and they include, amine autoquotes mainly includes histamine and serotonin. Serotonin also known as 5-hydroxytryptamine. Coming to the second one, lipid derived autoquotes, these include prostaglandins, prostacyclins, thromboxanes, leukotrienes, platelet activating factors, lipoxins, hypoxylins, and epilipoxins. And coming to the peptide autoquotes, major peptide autoquotes are angiotensin and kinase. Next. So, first coming to the amino autoquotes, and that include histamine and serotonin. Coming to the histamine. What is histamine? It is a naturally occurring imidazole derivative, widely distributed in skin, GIT mucosa, lungs, brain, cerebrospinal fluid, and bone marrow. It is also component of some venoms and sting secretion, not sting, misprinted sting. You should read it sting, S-T-I-N-G, sting secretion. Now coming to the biosynthesis, storage, release, and metabolism of histamine. So, histamine is synthesized from amino acid L-histidine in the presence of enzyme histidine decarboxylase. And this reaction, that is this enzyme histidine decarboxylase, is present in most of the tissue, mast cells, GIT mucosa, and rapidly growing tumors. Activator of histidine decarboxylase enzymes are gastrin, nicotine, stress, and infection. In this condition, synthesis of histamine is increased due to overactivity of histidine decarboxylase. And alpha methyl alpha alpha fluoromethyl histidine. Alpha fluoromethyl histidine is the inhibitor of histidine decarboxylase enzyme, but it is not used clinically. It is used for experimental purposes with prior permission. Second, biosynthesis of histidine. Second part is storage of L-histidine. So L-histidine is stored in most tissues in mast cells and also in blood basophils. These are the storage sites of histamine. And non-mast cell storage sites of histamine are hepatocytes present in the stomach as well as in the neurogenic histaminocytes. So, non-mast cells histamines are present in histaminocytes present in the stomach as well as in the nerve endings. Coming to the biosynthesis of histidine takes a longer process, that it is a slow process, takes longer time in cases of mast cells and in blood vessels. While biosynthesis of histamine is multifold times increased in gut mucosa because of presence of gastrin present in the GIT mucosa that enhances histidine decarboxylase enzyme activity. And at the GIT site levels, it is continuously secreted or released whether they are stored in the histamine sites. Coming to the next point, release. So, release of biosynthesis, release of histamine from their storage sites. So, storage sites. So, before release, we must know that histamine is not stored as a single entity in the storage sites. They are stored intracellularly in a complex form containing macromolecular heparin plus acidic proteins plus histamine. These three molecular complex form histamine is stored, and from these sites histamine is released. So now coming to the release part of the histamine from the storage sites. So there are three major mechanisms. First major mechanism is immunological release. Immunological mechanism for release of histamine. Second is chemical release, and third one is mechanical release. So coming in a reverse way, that is chemical and mechanical injury to the mast cells or storage sites causes release of histamine from their storage sites. Again, there are some drugs which causes enhanced release of histamine, which these drugs has affinity to bind with the heparin protein complex, and it displaces histamine from their complex form. So histamine is released extracellularly, and in this process sodium ion or calcium ion is used, and it is an energy dependent process. That is, in this process ATP is required. Now coming to the immunological mechanism of histamine release. So what happens on first exposure of any allergen? Immunoglobulins antibody is formed, and IgE type of antibody is formed, and this IgE type of antibody formed combined with the Fc-xolin receptors present on the mast cells and basophils, and then these mast cells and these Fc-xolin receptors becomes activated. When second exposure occurs to the same antigen, excessive production of antibody occurs, and already formed antibody combines with the antigen. So, and this causes release of histamine from the mast cells and basophils. So, and this is a immunological process, and this requires energy. Coming to the metabolism. So, histamine undergoes two different mechanisms for their metabolism. So, first, imidazole and methyl transferase enzymes causes its conversion to N-methyl histamine, and again in second stage, in presence of monoamine oxidase B, it is converted to N-methyl imidazole STKC. And second is pathway of histamine metabolism is in the presence of diamine oxidase, also known as histaminase, which is converted to imidazole STKC, IMAA. And on addition of ribose sugars, it is converted to imidazole STKC riboside. And okay, coming to the next, this is about the biosynthesis, storage, release and metabolism of histamine. Look at this diagram. Here, mechanism of histamine release has been shown. Look, one antigen combines with two IgE antibodies, and this causes the release of histamine from the intracellular granules containing histamine, heparin, and acidic protein complex. And this process, that is release of histamine, is enhanced by some drugs, that is succinylcholine, polymyxin B, detergents, bradykinin, etc. These drugs enhance the release of histamine, and that is and again exposure to an extreme heat and cold as well as exposure to X-ray also causes release of histamines, other drugs, the chemicals and drugs are trypsins and chymotrypsins. These all drugs enhances release of histamine. While there are other group of drugs that inhibit histamine release, and these include beta-2 agonists like adrenaline, ephedrine, isoproterin. Some mast cell membrane stabilizers like sodium chromoglycate, nidochromyl sodium, and tryptophan also inhibit the release of histamine from their storage site. Okay. Now look at this table where the released histamine produce actions by acting through histamine receptors, and histamine receptors have been classified into 4 classes, that is H1 type histamine receptors, H2 type, H3 type and H4 type. H1 type, on the left side, types of receptors has been shown. In the second row, distribution and function has been shown. In the third row, post-receptor mechanisms has been shown, and followed by fourth and fifth tables showing agonist and antagonist or inverse agonist. So H1 receptors, distribution, smooth muscles of intestine, bronchi and uterus, and action is contraction. So stimulation of H1 receptors present in the smooth muscles of intestine, bronchi and uterus produces contraction. Stimulation of H1 receptors present in the blood vessels causes vasodilatation, increased capillary permeability, while H1 receptors activation in CNS where it acts as neurotransmitters, and in sensory nerve endings it is responsible for pain and itching. Post-receptor mechanisms, that is GQ protein coupled receptors. PIP2 hydrolysis produces increased synthesis of inositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol. It also causes release of calcium. Agonists, histoproteins and antagonists are meperamine, triprolidine, chlorpheniramine, cetirizine, fexofenadine, etc. H2 receptors present in gastric glands produces on its stimulation acid secretion, and H2 receptors present in the blood vessels produces vasodilatation, increased capillary permeability, and H2 receptors present in the heart increases heart rate and force of contraction. In the brain, it acts as neurotransmitter, and post-receptor mechanism is GS coupled protein coupled receptor, and it causes increased cyclic AMP in the intracellular. And agonist is dimapril and aphamine, and its antagonist is cimetidine, ranitidine, nizatidine and famotidine. Coming to the H3 receptors, which in the brain, it is mainly presynaptic receptors, and it causes it causes reduction or it decreases the release of histamine, norepinephrine as well as of acetylcholine release. So release of histamine and acetylcholine is decreased when H3 receptors is stimulated, which are mainly present in the brain as the synaptic receptors. Gastric mucosa, it causes decreased histamine release, decreased secretions, and in blood vessels again it causes vasodilation. And post-receptor mechanism is GI protein coupled receptors. It acts as GI protein coupled receptors, that is, it decreases formation of cyclic AMP, decreased calcium ion influx, opening of potassium channels. And agonists are alpha methylhistamine and emetic. And its antagonists are iodophenotropic, cloventropic, thiopyramide, and ciprofloxacin. So, mainly importantly, thiopyramide, this one to thiopyramide and ciprofloxacin. These are the antagonists of H3 receptors. And H4 receptors is present in the neutrophils, eosinophils, CD4 T cells. So, H4 receptors are present on the eosinophils, neutrophils, and CD4 T cells. And it causes chemotaxis of the bone tissue as well as production of blood cells. Post-receptor mechanism again the GI protein coupled receptors that is decreased cyclic AMP and decreased calcium ion influx. And agonists are emetic and clozapine and emetic. And antagonist is thiopyramide. These are the different types of histamine receptors with their types of distributions as well as functions. Post-receptor mechanism having and their agonists and antagonists. Yes. Coming to the clinical usage of histamine. Nowadays, the main clinical use of histamine is as a positive control injection for skin allergy testing. All other uses are outdated and harmful. Adverse effects of histamine: flushing, hypotension, headache, wheal formation, bronchoconstriction, gastric acidity, intestinal cramps. So, contraindicated in asthma and peptic ulcer. Now, look at this table showing classification and pharmacological features of H1 receptor antagonists. Again, this has been classified based on their duration of action as well as their side effects. So, first is highly sedative. H1 receptor antagonist. So, first is highly sedative, or broadly H1 receptor antagonists are classified into two groups: first generation antihistaminics and second generation antihistaminics. First generation antihistaminics have quick action, but they pass the blood-brain barrier, so they have sedating effects and other side effects. While in cases of second generation antihistaminics, these second generation antihistaminics usually do not cross the blood-brain barriers, so side effects, that is sedation, is lesser or negligible with these molecules in comparison to that of first generation antihistaminics. First generation antihistaminics have been classified into three major groups, that is highly sedative, moderately sedative and mild sedative. Look at these tables. Highly sedative, dimenhydrinate, diphenhydramine, doxylamine, hydroxyzine and promethazine. Adult dose 25 to 50 mg for dimenhydrinate, for diphenhydramine 25 to 50 mg, for doxylamine 1 decimal 5 to 25 mg, for hydroxyzine 25 to 50 mg and for promethazine 10 to 25 mg. Duration of action 4 to 6 hours, all have 4 to 6 hours. Anticholinergic activity, major side effects. Anticholinergic activity is highest with dimenhydrinate, diphenhydrinate, diphenhydramines and hydroxyzine, promethazine, already shown in this table. And special features, that is dimenhydrinate is used as anti-motion sickness drugs. Diphenhydramine also used as anti-motion drugs, and doxylamine used as sleep aid. Hydroxyzine and promethazine as antiemetics. Highly moderately sedative antihistaminics are pyrilamine, cyproheptadine, pheniramine and clemastine. Those have already shown, that is 25 to 50 mg for pyrilamine, cyproheptadine 4 mg, pheniramine maleate 25 to 50 mg, clemastine 2 to 6 mg. Duration of action, all have 4 to 6 hours duration of action except clemastine, which have duration of action 12 hours. And anticholinergic side effect is least with pyrilamines and gradually increase maximally to the pheniramine and clemastine. And they also use as sleep aid and anti-serotonin effect of cyproheptadine. Cyproheptadine is also used as a appetite stimulant. Mild sedative, meclizine, chlorpheniramine, cinnarizine and triprodine. Their duration of action, look at the third column, that is 12 to 20 hours for meclizine, and for rest it is 4 to 6 hours or 48 hours. And anticholinergic activity is lesser than the above drugs. Cinnarizine is used for vertigo, also acts as a calcium channel blocker. Coming to the second generation antihistaminics, estamizole 10 mg OD tablets, action 24 hours, fexofenadine 120 to 180 mg OD, duration of action 12 hours, cetirizine 10 mg OD and duration of action 12 to 24 hours. Loratadine 10 mg once daily, all given orally, and duration of action 24 hours. Disloratadine 5 mg once daily, and duration of action 24 hours. Levocetirizine 5 mg OD with duration of action 24 hours. Avastin 10 mg OD, 10 mg OD or 20 mg OD, and duration of action 24 hours. And Clopa, it is not important, last one is not important. Okay, only for advice of thermologist. Coming to the next. Again, out of these antihistaminics, terfenadine and estimizole are nowadays no longer used because of their side effects. Major side effects, that is, when these drugs are used singly, but in higher dose, then side effect is produced, or when these drugs are given even with therapeutic dosage, but with CYP3A4 inhibitor drugs like erythromycin, chloramphenicals, and others, because terfenadine is metabolized by CYP3A4 enzymes, and when CYP3A4 inhibitor drugs are given, then serum concentration of terfenadine or estimizole is raised, and this causes prolongation of QT interval in ECG that leads to so that is increased concentration of terfenadine and estimizole when used with CYP3A4 inhibitor drugs like erythromycin. They produce prolongation of QT intervals in the ECG and producing a fatal ventricular tachyarrhythmia called Torsades de Pointes. However,